Welcome to Aerofly FS4 and the Concorde. Today I'll take you on a full flight from Heathrow in London to JFK in New York, but first we need to plan our flight, so let's head to the Sims world map. So we've selected Heathrow as our departure airport, JFK is the destination. 28,000 feet is our initial climb altitude. We're departing from 27 left at Heathrow and arriving at 22 left at JFK. First of all, in the flight deck, we'll check that the nav frequency matches the ILS for JFK's runway 22 left. Just use the dials below to adjust it if it's not correct. The selected altitude is 28,000 and INS or nav mode is active. We'll deactivate the auto throttle for our takeoff and initial climb. We'll check flight director 1 is on and that the nose is at the 5-degree position for takeoff. Check the radio INS nav source switch is set to INS. And on the pedestal, we will flick the afterburner piano keys to the up position. Okay, we're all set, so let's go. Parking brake off and full throttle. You hear the engine spool up and the afterburners will light. Concorde usually rotates at around 190 knots. As soon as you have positive rate of climb, bring the landing gear up. At first, just manually fly, following the flight director on the PFD. When the airplane reaches 250 knots, turn the afterburners off. But leave the throttles in the fully forward position. You can now activate the autopilot and retract the nose. As the nose retracts, we'll set the airplane to max climb mode, which will adjust pitch to achieve the best climb rate possible, towards 28,000 feet. When the airplane reaches 28,000, as you level off, activate auto throttle and Mach hold to make sure it doesn't overspeed. With the plane level, we'll dial in our actual cruising altitude of 60,000 feet. To continue our climb, we'll hit altitude acquire, max climb, we'll switch the auto throttle off and reactivate the afterburners with our throttles still fully forward. The airplane will now pitch up and begin its climb to 60,000. During this climb, you'll pass Mach 1, and Concorde should be supersonic at around 36,000 feet. At around 55,000 feet, Concorde will pass Mach 2. This is where our Supercruise begins. We can now deactivate the afterburners, just leave the throttles fully forward for now. And to make sure we don't go overspeed, because the Aerofly Concorde is quite slippery, just reactivate auto throttle and Mach hold. Enjoy your supersonic cruise, because it will soon be time for top of descent. And that happens at around 215 miles from our destination, so we'll want to prepare a little bit before that. First of all, we'll hit airspeed acquire, and we'll set our desired airspeed to 350 knots as the initial speed for our descent. We'll now dial in our bottom of descent altitude. This should be 2,000 feet above the elevation of your destination. Hit altitude acquire, you'll see vertical speed mode is active. We'll now pitch the airplane down by selecting the vertical speed of 3,000 feet per minute. That's the white arrow on this indicator here. As the airplane descends at around 30,000 feet, it will pass back through the sound barrier and you'll be subsonic again. We want to ideally be at 325 knots at 15,000 feet, so just before we reach 15,000 we'll dial that in, and ideally we want 250 knots around 10,000, so just before 10,000 we'll dial in 250 knots. Upon reaching 250 knots, we can set the nose to the 5-degree position. As we reach our bottom of descent, we'll want to decelerate to our approach speed in a fully loaded Concorde, that is around 207 knots. Once approach speed is dialed in, we can set the nose to the fully down position for visibility during our approach. As the airplane turns onto final, set your navigation source to radio, activate localizer mode and land mode. The airplane will capture both the localizer and the glide slope and begin to descend towards the runway. On the glide slope, drop the landing gear. For an automatic landing in Concorde, activate the second autopilot. Auto land in this Concorde seems far from perfect, but it does get the job done. So as it flares, idle the throttle. Upon touchdown, reverses and brakes. It doesn't have a rollout mode, so you'll have to make sure you keep the plane centered on the center line. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe for more flight sim and Aerofly content. Take care, and I'll see you next time.